Feldenkrais method and what people want.
Yes, we've started about 7 businesses in the last 15 minutes. Well, we did talk about a few. One of the things that we discussed was, would people want when people are kind of, are they thinking about immediate things, or are they thinking about more abstract things like I want, world peace, or actually I want a seat on the train, and maybe both simultaneously. Yep. But what we talked about was if we were going to engage with people about how Feldenkrais might help, we had a few different thoughts. One was using other things that other therapies that people already might use to give them relief in various ways, to talk about how Feldenkrais is either related to or beneficial alongside some of those other therapies, like massage or physio or whatever. We talked about how you might be able to think about a particular thing that a person wanted to do, like ride a bike or go bird watching or whatever, for which some Feldenkrais techniques might be useful.
Yep.
Therapeutic. We also talked about how Feldenkrais is also, in a sense, it's a mindfulness technique, which some people might find very helpful if the thing that they're pondering while they're standing on the train is about the quality of their relationships with other people. We had one more, I think, but can you remember any others, or is that enough for us? Yep, that'll do for us. Yep.
Okay, so a lot of the things we could offer would help them do the things they want to do more easily or more satisfyingly. Yep.
Oh, I think I had like a spectrum of people wanting relief and rest,
yep,
and more ease in what they do, to the other end of being more creative or productive or
Great.
Playful. Yep. Yeah, so as a bit of a spectrum.
Fantastic. Yep. Cool. Okay, chuck it to another group. This is the secret one that's going to be revealed.
We present the situation about people said, oh yes, I try sometimes. Feldenkrais is really boring.
Okay.
Nothing happened. I want to do something more fun. And in the other side, I said, okay, what do you makes you fun? Makes you feel, how do you enjoy fun? Oh, I like to dance, or I like to skiing, or I like to whatever. And I said, okay, before you dance or you ski, just do half an hour of ATM, and then try how do you feel when you do your fun stuff. Just one.
The little book of 50 preparations for having fun.
More fun, eh? And I'm going to be...
Yeah, Sylvia, when she told us, she said she'd tell them they'd have more fun.
Terrific.
And
I'm all for that.
And Narayan said Feldenkrais helps you deal with challenges more creatively.
Great.
Okay. So this is a bit of a mishmash of ideas, but I just want to share one thing that was said by the group was that Feldenkrais is a physical way into the mind. I thought that was really nice. And then Gloria said that no matter what it is, there's an ATM for that. And I thought, what a good advertisement. If you're really wanting to promote it, there's an ATM for that. Instead of there's an app for that, there's an ATM for that. So then we were trying to go through the things that we thought people might be wishing for. Meaning or purpose in life. Well, Feldenkrais does, it's about awareness. And as Narayan was saying, you could pretty much say awareness for just about everything that people want. And it's because it helps you uncover it, which is probably what other people were alluding to when they were saying things like people don't always know what they want. They don't know what underlies it. Also that, Feldenkrais work is fun. It's relaxing and it creates a connection between the mind and the body. In fact, that was probably me saying it approaches the whole person. To my mind, it approaches the whole person more so than a lot of other disciplines do. That it's creative approach to challenges. So the things that you're wanting, if you want understanding, you might think, I don't know how that happens, but then you don't really know at all. You just do it because it's creative and you're making that link and there's time to think. Freedom from physical restrictions. So again, sort of same sort of things Alison was saying about if you want to ski or you want to ride a bike or you want to do something, that it's a creative approach to all those things. And maybe I'll leave it there because I can't read my writing. There we go. Okay. And also,
it may even help you change your handwriting.
It might help me change my handwriting. So, who else is next? Oh, yeah. Oh, there's an ATM for that, definitely. Yeah. Did you want to say more? No?
Just bear in mind, I think Susan might have pointed out to you back in January that awareness is a double-edged sword. That, some of you talked about people wanting distraction and kind of getting away from the difficulties of life. And becoming more aware of those can be quite painful at times. So, awareness is great when it's about good stuff, and it's sometimes difficult, even if valuable, about the stuff that's painful. So,
I will not only one thing.
Yep.
I was talking about with someone about his pain on his shoulder, and he doesn't want to hear about this kind of work. He go on with the painkillers and everything, and I was thinking about maybe next time we don't talk anymore, because he's a kind of person who is difficult to listen to the others. Just ask him 10 minutes of mini FI, just touch him and move a little gently and just let's see what's happened with him without words.
Absolutely. And some people are not at the place where they want to let go of their pain. For some of us, holding on to our pain is actually critical to our sense of who we are. And so we do need to be respectful that if somebody's not ready yet, then maybe we maintain the relationship in another way until that changes, if it does. Let's just have the other groups and then we'll come back.
We just our group here.
Oh, this is your group.
Yes.
Sorry. Yep. Go.
May I just say a short word?
Yep.
Maybe 15 words.
11 and a half. Go.
With a well self-organized body for the intention of the movement, the quality of the motion should be the same from the start to the end. So the quality of the motion is, if it's the same, it would start off with a smooth and light texture, and throughout until the end, it remains the same, light and smooth. So this is what I will talk to my next person. If you want to try Feldenkrais, you don't have to stress yourself and you don't have to feel tension, but just enjoy the flow of this smooth and lightness from start to the end.
Sure. For some people, that'll be wonderful, and other people it will make no sense at all, because that's not their paradigm. The world we live in is about no pain, no gain, push harder. Yep. Yep. Okay, others?
A lot of the groups have covered what we speak about, but I think generally we spoke a lot about putting it into the language of the person that you're talking to.
Yep.
So knowing something about their life helps you actually be able to explain it to them. So Jane had a great example of one of the...
Yes. This is a really interesting story because it just happened this week with the guy who's sharing the house with me, who's a young Chinese entrepreneur, and he's really into keeping fit. And he goes to a trainer twice a day, gym twice a day, runs every second day. You know, he's really extreme. But to cut a long story short, he asked me what I was studying. I thought, oh, here we go again. I never know what to say. So actually, I sort of related it to him using machines for exercise and how it constrains the movement to just one thing. What would happen if he took the machine away and he could explore different ways of doing the same movement? And he got it. Immediately, he just got it. And so then I related to, well, that can actually affect your thinking and your life and how you go about your business and your personal relationships. And I said that, I didn't tell these girls. Then I got a half hour of why he was a gym freak. It was because his marriage had broken down and he felt so guilty about hurting someone else, and he was trying to improve himself by being physically fit. So it then went on to this long conversation about different attitudes he could take to his relationship.
Fantastic.
So, yeah, it was a big boost for me. I thought, oh, at last I've been able to explain at least to one person.
Good.
Thank you guys. Thank you guys.
Okay.
Anyway, you got it. So we probably weren't as clever as some of these people here, I don't think. But we talked about just that engagement. How do you engage people in their different interests and in their, you know, just their different view and perception of the world. And then we started talking more about it from a business model. So Kat's already got a captive audience, so her needs as a, you know, but no, but her needs to engage people are different to, say, somebody like us who'll be starting a business. And then how do you start that engagement and how do you go about doing that? So, yeah, that's where we kind of got sidetracked off into, maybe I hijacked it with my business brain. Maybe.
Great.
Yeah. It's true. So that's their expectation and their perception.
Yeah,
So
we'll always have to work to match the expectation, the perception with
how do you do that from a business point of view so that you get enough people to work with? You know, you have to have a very individual sort of thing.
Sorry.
No, that's all right.
Yes, we discussed, and at this stage, my model is limited to my friends and family and some relatives. And I'm thinking, who is the audience? And because I know these people, and when we have RTMs or some lectures, I'm thinking about particular people, particular needs, and then I see these people and talk to them, offer them some ATMs from different perspective, and it's very interesting. I have friends, okay, which I can see immediately after our ATMs, and because I'm so excited, usually I can't persuade them because they're fed up with what I'm doing, and I'm talking all the time about it. But if I see people in few days, and particular person, I know what I would like really to address, it works. And it's very interesting to see the steady results. I don't explain them what they can achieve, but I can see the difference. And it's quite interesting. There are a few of my quite close friends rang me back and told me, you know, I don't know what did you do with us, but for example, my relationship with my boyfriend changed. And it's very interesting how just the exercises can affect the way people look at the problems, things. Yeah.
Yep.
Thank you.
Okay, behind you.
Some of the things that people talked about, we also spoke about.
Yep.
That something that was different in our group discussion was intent. It's a bit like what Jane was speaking about. we're relating in the world and coming from a heartfelt position. There's not this attachment that person must do it. It's listening, and perhaps they need something else at that time. And perhaps Feldenkrais may be appropriate. It's like, and then people, it's about being non-threatened, they're not feeling threatened. So if we're listening to that person, we're listening, and then he expressed about having divorce and why he was doing it. So I think people want to be acknowledged and listened to. So we come from that point of view. They either will or they won't, but it doesn't matter. They may be on a different journey.
Cool.
I'm just thinking, when you said about a business model, so to speak, of which angle to come from, like, I'm probably lucky because I've got a little bit of a plan over the next year or two because I am working in the industry. And I often think, like, probably 9 out of 10 people that come to me for treatment say at some point, oh, no pain, no gain. Like, they all pretty much all say it. And I've been trying for a while now to start telling them, like, the more I learn that that is not the case. Like, less is more. And I think if I start small with people and with a lot of my clients or whatever, just slowly make my way there with them, and try and integrate it a little bit with what I'm doing, or myotherapy, so massage sort of thing. But yeah, I think maybe like an ATM, just break it down slowly as you try to explain it to them over time, rather than in one foul swoop, because I do the get excited thing and they glaze over.
Excellent.
But yeah, slow it down. Thanks. And take the time to do it.
Okay, one more group over here.
Hey.
Hi.
So we focused on the health element of the permutations. And Jenny, as you know, my mother-in-law has some stability issues and is getting quite adept to meeting the floor at high speed. So given tightness of breath and lack of movement, etc., and trying to sort of be nice, and this obviously depends on your audience and how well you know them. I asked her over the last sort of 5 or 10 years, what was it that she used to go and love doing that has now either stopped or reduced or curtailed entirely, or what was what really put a smile on the dial that she can no longer do, and what that really means to her. And curiously, obviously, what it means to, in essence, my father, because he now obviously stays and does whatever she wants to do or not. So in order to go and get them both moving, because they both need to, and given fragilities of health and so on and so forth, that really sort of sung to her from the fact of, well, I used to go out walking, we used to sort of, go on picnics, go to sort of walk around old towns, etc. And she doesn't do that so much anymore. I said, so, okay, so would it equally not be better to not be so tight in your breath, so that you can get to the shops and back? And then once you get back, would it not be nice to then be able to go and put the stuff away, not in one go, as opposed to maybe over a couple of attempts? And so then you start to look into functionality and qualities, and quality aspects of life. And then I said, well, so wouldn't it be nice to go and do something with an intent to go and do something, but without a pass or fail mark? Wouldn't it be nice to go and do something where you could line your jammies at home with the windows shut, your curtains drawn, and you can still go and get exercise that you need without doing any real exercise? And as a result of that, wouldn't it be great if you could stick your knee into your armpit?
No, I think you just tripped over the line there, Kev.
I think it was more the look of my dad's face more than hers. But yeah, so in essence, and the flip side of that is obviously if you don't know the person that you're talking to, you can turn and say, so what is it that you really enjoy doing? What is it that you love doing and that you'd like to do better?
A conversation involves two people.
Yeah.
So, one more thing, just, yep.
So sometimes when people ask me, I actually put the whole method into a historical context, because I think by telling a little bit of Feldenkrais's life story, you can actually relate to some of the purpose of the method. So
Sometimes you can. Let me offer you just one brief model. Is it texture there? Thanks. If you think about maybe people you know at work and the sort of conversations that happen at morning tea or family gatherings when the same people come to the room, can you predict what they're going to talk about? Mm-hmm. Okay. Somebody, and I don't know who, came up with the idea that there are essentially 6 categories of interest. People, place, things, activity, I might call it facts, and time. No. Now, my mum, bless her heart, whenever I hear about her holiday or what she's been doing in the last week or whatever, will tell me who was there and a certain amount of information about each of them. And she'll describe the place, that we went in the door and then they had this room on the right and then, you got one of those? Yeah. Okay, so I know that she will always talk about these things. My dad is more likely to tell me about the technology or the gadgets and some useful information about them. Yeah, that's actually a debatable 7th category. There are some people who are always going to tell you about what we did, you know, the activities, what happened, all that sort of thing. And there are a small group of people who will tell you about the sequence, the timing, how long things took. Okay. There you go. So you know this in your own experience. Now, what I'm going to encourage you to do over the next 3 or 4 months is to every now and again just listen. Listen for the needs, what people are kind of saying, either overtly or between the lines, about what they want in their life, what they've lost, you know, what they can't do anymore, or what they wish they could do, or what's causing them difficulty, or what seems to have vanished from our modern society. And do they tend to wrap it up in relation to one or more of these categories? And so, I mean, Emma's right with some people that they are fascinated about the man. But over the years, I think many of our colleagues have kind of got stuck. Maybe we're all people, which is why we think that that's what's going to interest everybody. But for a lot of people, well, there was this guy and he was a scientist and he hurt his knee and like glaze, blah, blah, blah. So if we can talk about some of the interesting people that we spent the week with and the sort of issues or the experiences that they had, that's going to connect with some people. Place is not just, you know, we lived in a dungeon in Box Hill for 2 weeks. But it might be something about your sense of internal space or how you move through the world differently that will engage somebody's curiosity. We don't use a lot of things, but we've imagined some devices. We've imagined the torch on your head, and we've imagined, you know, balls and cylinders and shapes and things going around. So sometimes the devices that we use to create the environment for us to have different experiences, or it may be we talk about how we relate to our technology differently, how we can cope with sitting at the computer or driving the car, that engages another group. Certainly, we've done all kinds of interesting activities. We've got ourselves into all sorts of weird and curious shapes, and many of you can relate from your own experience how that's changed your experience of everyday activities. Facts and information. Zoran's got a magnificent reading list there for you. If you find interesting and useful facts, maybe you want to dump them into the Facebook page and collect them for the rest of us. They can be useful at times. And sometimes our sense of time is influenced by our experience here. Zoran talked the other day about the sense of internal space, of this morning. You know, is your sense of yourself like a room jam-packed full of stuff? Or do you have a sense that the world is spacious and there's room for you to move? People's experience of time is often like that. For many people, it feels like everything's rushing towards us at a pace that's overwhelming. Can we do something in terms of what we learn through our Feldenkrais experience that starts to give us a little bit more temporal space as well? So you can observe how people talk and practice entering that kind of model of the world. You can notice your own habits and preferences. You know, do I always talk about the same aspects? What would it be like to try talking about one of those other things? And if it's right out of your familiarity, it will feel weird and impossible. All right, we didn't do anything to do with that. But maybe, you know, chat amongst yourselves, chat to your study buddies and your learning groups, and see if you can find someone that either has that preference or knows somebody who does, and get some clues on that. Because we will need to be able to speak and listen to a whole variety of different people who might speak the same national language, but they'll interpret and represent it in very different ways internally. Facts. That's probably where we talk about neuroplasticity and stuff like that. The theories and ideas, yeah. How it works. Maybe some of Feldenkrais's kind of seminal thinking, you know, how this came from his experience in, you know, mechanical engineering, in sports, in philosophy, in child development, those sorts of things. Some people would find that incredibly fascinating, and other people would think, what? You know, someone that's interested in that, probably not so interested in that. But, you know, you find people with different combinations. Often there's one or two that are quite strong strands of interest, and others that just don't connect particularly. Okay, enough of that. We will remind you to attend to these things periodically, and you get a short break.
Cool.